Hi, my name's Travis, and I'm doing an annotated bibliography for my children's literature class. And basically, I will be analyzing 5 children's books that all deal with African Americans coming over to America and the struggles that they had, and as well as some of these books talk about slavery. And the first book that I chose was Almost to Freedom, and this book was illustrated by Colin Bootman and written by Vonda Mitchett Nelson, and this book is basically about the Underground Railroads and slavery. So the book is told from a doll's perspective, and basically the story is a young girl and her mother are trying to escape from slavery through the Underground Railroads, and the little girl has a doll, and this doll cannot speak or anything, but the doll is who tells the story, and the little girl ends up dropping the doll as she's trying to escape, and the doll is later found by another girl, and later the other girl ends up with the doll. And so this book basically depicts how slavery was very difficult for everyone. It was a difficult time for all the African Americans, and it was hard to keep families together. And this book is just great because it teaches children about history, and it allows for them to see the struggles and the difficulties that the African Americans had to deal with. So the colors in here are actually very dark for the most part, and this kind of resembles a mysterious type of feeling for it. And it kind of allows too for children to see that slavery was not a good time at all for anyone, because it was just black people were suppressed and it was not good at all. But this book is very appropriate for the ages 6 to 10. That's usually the age range, but it's definitely a good book for children to read and get some background on slavery. And the second book that I have is Aunt Harriet's Underground Railroad in the Sky, and this book is by Faith Ringgold. And this book is about a young girl and her sister, and there's an underground railroad in the sky, they call it. It's so children can get a better view, just like the last book, of slavery. And I think it's very cool because it kind of lets children into slavery through like the sky. It kind of lets them see the view of slavery. So throughout the story, though, Harriet Tubman is found by the girls, and everyone calls Harriet Tubman Aunt Harry because what she did and stuff for the slaves, and how big of an impact she was to slavery. And there's a lot of dark colors used in here as well, and these dark colors symbolize the difficulties and the hard times that slavery was. And it uses watercolor drawings as well, and these watercolor drawings allow for children to, because children are they're all about the pictures for the most part. I know when I was a child, I just loved pictures. So these pictures here also allow for children to see just the darkness of slavery. And this book is also a great book for children. And the third book I have is called Something Beautiful by Sharon Dennis Wythe, and it's illustrated by Chris K. Sonopite. And this book is available for all ages. It's a great book that it talks about a young girl who struggles to find something beautiful. She actually lives in the city in America, and she struggles to find something beautiful, just anything. She's kind of unsure what being beautiful is. And basically the moral of the story is she ends up finding that everyone's beautiful, no matter what their skin color is, no matter what they look like. Everyone is beautiful. This is definitely a great read for children because it allows for them to be accepting of others. The fourth book I have is called Back of the Bus. Back of the Bus is by Aaron Reynolds and is illustrated by Floyd Cooper. Back of the Bus is a great book for children because they get some background as well with they had a bunch of segregation more towards the 1950s, but this is also a good learning book for children. And it tells the story of Rosa Parks through a young child and his mother watching what happened to Rosa Parks in the back seat of the bus. And the boy ends up having a marble. As you can see here, the boy has a marble, and this marble he hides in his pocket because he's afraid of it being taken. And at the end of the story, this boy takes that out of his pocket, and he says that he doesn't have to hide anymore. And this kind of symbolizes the boy realizing that that everyone is alike, and that this marble symbolizes freedom, and that the boy, because he sees Rosa Parks fight back, and he realizes that he can fight back too. So that's a great read for children, and the colors in here that are used are also very dark, just because segregation was also not a good time. And the last book I have is called When Joe Louis Won the Title. And this book is by Belinda Rochelle and is illustrated by Larry Johnson. And this book talks about Black history and when Joe Louis won the boxing title and how big of a step that was for African Americans. Now, the story depicts a girl and her grandfather. And the girl dislikes her name, so the grandfather tells the story of the boxer Joe Louis and talks about some history and about segregation and how hard it was, because this girl, her name is Joe Louis, and she doesn't know why her name is Joe Louis. She hates her name. So she's moving schools, and then she's afraid to go to school, afraid to go to class because people will laugh at her name. But her grandfather gives her background about her name, and she ends up being accepting of her name. And this is a great book because it allows for children to see that even though if they have a name that could be just the weirdest name ever, that everyone will be accepting. And this girl, she's unaware of just Black history and everything. And this is a great book because her grandfather teaches her about history and everything. And that's why it's a great book for children, because it kind of teaches children about history, teaches them about what Blacks had to go through, the segregation, slavery, and how far we've come as a country into being less segregated and less judgmental. So a quick overview of the books is just kind of for the age range is Almost to Freedom is written for ages 6 to 10. And then you have Aunt Harriet's Underground Railroad in the Sky, and this is for all ages, definitely for all ages, really good book. Something Beautiful is for ages 8 to 12. 8 to 12. And then Back of the Bus is for ages 6 to 10. And then you have the last book, When Joe Louis Won the Title. And this book is for ages 6 to 10 as well. And all these books were about African American culture and African Americans coming over to the United States, either through immigration or through slavery. So that's my annotated bibliography. Thank you very much for listening.